Voy. Listo. ¿Me
Ya.
dices?
Ya.
Hello, my name is Andrea Norali Beltran Lara. I present United States or US. United States, officially the United States of America, no, is sovereign country constituted in a constitutional federal republic composed of 50 states and federal district. Most of the country is located in the middle of North America. Its contiguous states are Washington D.C., the federal district are located between the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. It borders Canada, to the north, and Mexico to south. The state of Alaska is the northwest of the continent, bordering Canada, so the east separated from Russia to the west be Bering Strait. The states of Hawaii is Polynesian archipelago, is the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and is the only one of its states not found in this America. The country has several unincorporated territories in the Caribbean and Pacific seas. The globalization is the world's largest national economy in nominal terms, with GDP estimated at 22 trillion and on 150 of global GDP in purchase, purchasing power parity. The country is the main capitalist force on the planet, as well as being a leader in scientific research and technological is innovation since the 19th century, and since the beginning of the 20th century, the main industrial country in GDP, the United States is second largest economy, being China. Culture. The USA is my land was inhabited by diverse indigenous groups for thousands of years. This aboriginal popular was reduced by size and war after the first contact with Europeans. The United States was founded by 13 British colonies along and the Atlantic coast, and July for the USA, the Declaration of Independence, which proclaimed the right to self-determination and the establishment of a cooperative union. The revelations states the affected the British Empire in the War of Independence. The first sustainable colonial war of independence characterized the Constitution of the United States was adopted on September. Its ratification is the following year made the States Paris of single republic with a strong central government. The Bill of Rights comprehension the constitutional elements guaranteeing many fundamental civil rights and freedoms were ratified. During the World War, the United States fought in the Korean War and the Vietnam War, both avoiding military conflict with the Soviet Union. The two superior wars completed in Spice Rice, which culminated in the special to humans, the moon for the first time, the end of Cold War and the dissolution of the years left is left it as the only international superworld in the 21st century. The September 11 and tracks were rise to the so-called war of terror and the rise of China and the return of Russia led to a new Cold War, where events such and the economic crisis of 25, the election of Donald Trump as president on the protest over the death of George Floyd project international social tensions. The country accounts for 250 is of global military independence is challenging economical, political, and cultural for the world. Culture. The United States is a multicultural nation, home to a wide variety of ethnic groups, traditions, and values answer from the no small populations of Native Americans and Hawaiians, and most Americans or the station migrant over the past 5 centuries. The common culture for most Americans is Western culture, and largely comes from the traditions of European immigrants' white influences from many on other such and as traditional brought by slaves for Africa. Recently, immigrants from Asia and Latin America have added more elements to this cultural mix that has been described as amazing for amazing pot of homogenization, race, and the heterogeneous salad bowl where immigrants and their descendants retain share and absorb several distinctive cultural characteristics. According to an analysis for cultural dimensions by grid of interest, the United States has one of the highest rates of individualism of any culture studied while in popular culture, the country is severing and society-wide social class, several scholars identify significant differences that can be considered and social class, which affect socialization, language, and values. The American working man's class have been the innovator of many of the contemporary social trends such as modern feminism, e- environmentalism, and multiculturalism. Unlike other cultures, most women work using the home as have a Beltran degree in 2407 of American over the age of 18 had married, 6% is were winning, 10% divorced, and 25 had never married.
Art. Since the European colonization, American art remained attached to the artistic currents of the old continent. In the mid 19th century, the Hudson River School emerged, one of the first artistic movements developed, mm, developed in the country, although it was still greatly influenced by the European tradition of naturalism. In 1913, the Harmony Show of New York City, an exhibition of works of art modern European in the mid a huge impact on the public and transformed the American art scene. Georgia O'Keeffe, mm, Mars, Marsden, Hartley, and other artists experimented with new styles, showing insensibility and technique in, unprecedented in European artists. The most important artistic movements such as the abstract expressionism of Jackson Pollock and Willem de Kooning and the pop art of Andy Warhol and Roy Lichtenstein are developed largely in the United States. Similarly, the current of modernism and postmodern or postmodernism brought to fame several American architects such as Frank Lloyd, Great Philip Johnson, and Frank Gehry. One of the greatest promoters of the of theater in the United States was the businessman Burnham, who entered the entertainment, arrogant and art team proceeded a number of very successful musical comedies in New York. In the 20th century, a format for modern musicals emerged for Broadway. Songs composed by characters such as Irving Berlin, Cole Porter, Porter and Stephen Sondheim became became standards for pop music. Playwright Eugene O'Neill won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1936. Other acclaimed American writers include Pulitzer Prize winners such as Tennessee Williams, Edward Albee, and August Wilson. Choreographers such as Isadora Duncan and Martha Graham helped the development of modern dance. Will George Balanchine and, Jeremy Robbins were two of the greatest figures of 20th century ballet. Americans have played an important role in the artistic medium of photography, most notably Alfred Stieglitz, Stately, Stately, Edward Sagen, and Ansel Adams. The first movie show in history was made in 1894 in the New York City using Thomas Edison kinescope. The following year, the first screening of a commercial film was presented, also in New York, and for the following decades, the United States was at the fore- forefront of sound film development since the early 20th century. The American industry has been larger and centered around productions in Hollywood, California. Director D.W. Griffith was essential in developing the basic structure of a movie, and Orson Welles' Citizen Kane is frequently cited as the greatest movie of all time. Among the most recent, Stanley Kubrick, Francis Ford Coppola, or Steven Spielberg. American actors like Morgan, John Wayne, or Marilyn Monroe have become iconic figures, while producer and entrepreneur Walt Disney was one of the leaders in the animation and the merchandising of his film. Hollywood's most important film studios have produced the most commercially and successful films in history, such as Star Wars, Titanic, and Avatar. For the 2020s, Hollywood products will continue to dominate the global film industry. With the cartoon, the American productions was the leadership in had on a world level since the beginning of the 20th century, highlighting several press strips such as Flash Gordon, The Phantom, or Prince Brave. After the World War, comics became a monetary media which se- recently experienced the graphic novel mm, phenomenon in which authors such as Charles Burns, Joe Sacco, and Chris Ware stand out. Well, however, comic strips and stories are also part of the country's artistic legacy. For example, Superman, on one of the most known superheroes in this media, has become a national icon. Um, the United States has the largest number of viewers in the world, while the average time spent on it continues to rise, reaching 5 hours a day in 2006. The four major television networks are all commercial entities. Americans also listen to radio programs largely marketed on average for and a half hours a day. The most popular websites and engines on the net are American inventives, including Google, Facebook, YouTube, Wikipedia, Blogger, eBay, and Yahoo. As for music, Charles Ives' work of the 1910 largely ignored during in development. led him to become the first successful American classical com- composer. Other pioneers such as Henry Cowell and John Cage created an American approach within classical composition. Aaron Copland and George Gershwin developed a unique blend of classical and popular music. The rhythmic and lyrical styles of African American music uh, have profoundly influenced American music in general, distinguishing it from European traditions. Elements of folk music, such as blues and what is now known as old music, were adapted and transformed into popular genres for a global audience. Jazz was developed by innovative music were adapted and transformed into popular genres. And jazz was developed by innovative artists such as Louis Armstrong and Duke Ellington in the early 20th century. Country emerged in the 1920s and rhythm and blues in the 1940s. By the middle of the next decade, Elvis Presley and Chuck Berry were among the pioneers of rock and roll in the 1960s. The rise of Bob Dylan's career helped revive the revive the influence of folk music to become one of the country's most celebrated composers. At the same time, James Brown led the development of funk, the most recent American creation include hip hop and house music. Finally, pop stars such as Elvis Presley, Michael Jackson, Madonna, or Mariah Carey have become recognized icons world, worldwide. Gastronomy. Um, the cuisine of the United States is similar to that of other Western countries, with wheat being the most used. Cereal traditional American cuisine uses ingredients such as turkey, deer meat, potatoes, sweet potatoes, corn, pumpkins, mm, maple honey, and other ingredients. Indigenous elements used by Americans and early European colonizers, pork and beef grills, crab cakes, potato chips, and chocolate chip cookies are some of the dishes made American style. Soul food, the traditional cuisine of African slaves, is still popular in the South and among African Americans in the other parts of the country. Since Science-critical cuisines such as Louisiana, Creole cuisine, Cajun, and Tex-Mex have great regional significance. And in this country, the the food um, more um, in the gastronomy of this country is based on hamburgers and hot dogs and este, beef grills, um, waffles, and, and food Tex-Mex with tacos. And characteristic dishes such as apple pie, fried chicken, pizza, uh, introduced by immigrants, French fries, Mexican dishes such as burritos and tacos and pasta dishes adapted from Italian. Recipes are also widely consumed. Um, Sports. No, I'm sorry. Science and technology. The United States is a pioneer in scientific research and technological innovation since the 19th century. In 1876, Alexander Graham Bell received the first American patent for the telephone. Thomas Edison laboratory developed the phonograph, the first incandescent lamp, and the alternate current motor, and the radio, and Nikola Tesla. Uh, in the 20th century, the Rason Ellie Olds and Henry Ford powered fly no Henry Ford automobile companies promoted light production in 1903. The Wright brothers made the first powered flight in their with flyer aircraft. Sports since the late uh, 19th century, baseball has been considered as the national sport, while American football, basketball, and ice hockey are the other great professional team sports. College leagues also draw large audience. Football is the most popular sport in the United States. Boxing and horse racing were the most watched individual sport at the time, but they have been eclipsed by golf and motoring, particularly by the Stock Cars Championships, such as the most important NASCAR Cup and other national and regional NASCAR and ARCA categories. Other noteworthy single seat championship are the IndyCar, formerly the defunct champ, champ race in the United States is the IndyCar uh, Indianapolis, which has international prestige. Uh, Endurance race like the 24 hours of Daytona and 12 hours of serving at the Petit Le Mans are of equal importance in world motoring. The NASCAR Cup Daytona uh, is the most important stock car race in the world soccer, although it is not one of the main sport at professional level in the country. It has a great presence and level of fans. Tennis and other outdoor sports are also popular, along with the US Open, one of the most watched tennis championships in the world. Um, while most of the major sports in the United States have evolved from European practice, basketball, volleyball, cheering, and snowboarding are local inventions. Lacrosse and surfing emerged from Americans in native Hawaii. The United States Olympic Committee (USOC) hosts the Summer Olympic Games for times St. Louis 1904, Los Angeles in 1932, Los Angeles 1984, and Atlanta Lake Placid 1980, and Salt Lake City 2002. The United States will host the 2028 Summer Games in Los Angeles. The United States was won uh, 2802 Summer Olympics medals, more than any other country, and 282 Winter Olympics medals. Uh, pues, thanks for your attention. Um, you liked this exposition. Sáqueme 10, maestra, por favor.
Por dos.